If you ask me what is the highlight, I think it is learning. Possibly my biggest success is also that I have been a good student. Maybe not while I was at the university, but then possibly I started learning more once I got into the industry. It is learning, and the organizations which I worked gave me tremendous opportunity to learn. And it is also the transformation in me from being trained as an engineer into a business person. And then the realization that at the end of the day, it is the customer who makes all the difference. And that created a strong customer-centric approach. And that also took me to one of the areas which I am so passionate about, service. In today's world of engineered equipment, if you take the top 2-3 players, there is very little to differentiate from a product perspective between their offerings. It is like cars. If you take the top, if you take each segment, if you take the top 4 cars of that, there's very little between them. So at the end of the day, it is service, it is a customer care, it's a customer service that makes all the difference. And Alfa Laval as an organization gave me a lot of opportunity to work with service, to build service, to develop service. And in the process, I learned a lot. In the process, possibly, they also gave me, as an organization, the biggest advantage of the Alfa Laval is it gives a lot of space for you to work with. And I many a time, Rajita would have heard this many a time, but then I always compare working in Alfa Laval like playing soccer. You are into the team because of your specialization in a position. You could be a forward, you could be a left winger, right winger, or a defender. It doesn't matter. But once you get into the game, it doesn't matter who scores the goal. So working together as a team with a common objective, driving it with passion. I think I developed a lot of those things. Possibly it has to be inherent in you, but then more than that, I think the environment allowed me to expand those things. So it is an overall success. I feel satisfied at the end of this long career, and if you would call that as an achievement, yes, it is an achievement. I wouldn't pinpoint any specific thing. It is a feeling of satisfaction, which definitely gives. And having learned a lot, not only in terms of, not only professionally, but also personally. Having got the exposure to multiple cultures, having worked in Southeast Asia where you have a mix of cultures there. They are different. We call Southeast Asia, we think Southeast Asia is like Middle East, like India. It is multiple cultures in each one of these sub-regions. And you learn a lot when you deal there. It's a little bit different in Southeast Asia when possibly there are very few expatriates in a country like Indonesia. So either you are inclined or indirectly you are forced to mingle with your local colleagues. And then you learn the language, and that makes the mingling much more stronger. And by that, you learn and understand their culture. And it has really helped me a lot. Going from India, like the, what do you call, the argumentative Indian. We argue on practically everything. Moving into a culture where you learn to work together and listen to others and understand others. It makes a hell of a lot of difference. And fortunately, I moved relatively young. So that has helped me form, and I have learned more learning skills working in the office than at home. A lot of us men build up our learning skills at home, but then I developed that skill working in the office. If you look at the way service has transformed, it's not only in Alfa Laval, globally in different organizations. Service initially came as a facilitator which will help sell capital equipment. So it was considered as a necessary evil. But then it evolved. Then people realized that service is one of the, when capital equipment sales became very competitive, particularly when we have very little to differentiate between different products, service became a profit generator. That is when service became a profit center. But I think the next step where service becomes the relationship builder between you and the customer, that is when we have reached the real goal. I don't think most of the engineering equipment customers have reached that level yet, including Alfa Laval. We are in the journey, and my effort has been to continuously transform from there to here. We actually created a service division in Alfa Laval only in 2000, in year 2000. So service as a separate business has taken shape only in the last 20 years in Alfa Laval. Even after 20 years, we are still in the journey. And service today has transformed a lot. And the foundation for service organization is a service culture. And service culture is not just people, the culture of the people who go and do the maintenance and repairs of the equipment. It is the touch point right from the time customer gets in touch with you until the time we invoice and collect the money. So it is a service culture across the organization. So it's a service culture. And the next one is the service infrastructure. Do you have enough facilities to deliver what you promise? It is reasonably easy to put together PowerPoints and brochures which talks a lot about what you will deliver as service. But the problem with service, or the challenge with service, is we need to deliver that to meet the customer requirements. And I'm quite impressed with some of the service I get for some of the home white goods in India today. Because I just moved to Coimbatore and I'm experiencing that, and I'm pleasantly surprised. So we have been making that progress. We built strong service infrastructure. I think in Middle East, we expanded quite a lot. In India, we have expanded quite a lot. We have moved the service engineers more closer to where the customers are. We created a sense of customer ownership for a customer. I used to say, a bit sarcastically or jokingly, if you take it, depending on how you take it, our service engineers are traditionally very good in talking to machines. They always had difficulty talking to people. And when you meet a customer, what matters most is how well they are able to talk to the customer. It is like a patient going to a doctor. More than the medicine, it is the doctor's behavior, how well the doctor engages with you. That makes a patient much more comfortable. It takes 50% of the disease away. So it is these two factors which I have worked with. It is the service culture and the service infrastructure. I have worked on these two areas, And I should say that we have been successful. I was talking about customer-centricity, and he mentioned at that time that possibly we should be using technology to improve customer care. COVID has given us that opportunity, or it rather accelerated the way. We have today what is called connected service. We are using virtual reality to get connected with the customers. The service engineer doesn't physically travel to the customer. The customer sites have got engineers and they service the customer equipment sitting in Alfa Laval office. It adds a lot of value to the customer. It is like telemedicine. The customer gets support. It's better than actually telemedicine. The customer gets support within half an hour of their raising the complaint. Otherwise, they would have had to wait 24 to 48 hours. So technology, introduction of technology into service, taking service to the next level. These are the things which we have been driving, and I'm very happy that I could be a part of that journey. It is the early days in Alfa Laval. One of the leaders whom I admire a lot on that side is the managing director whom I worked under, Mrs. Leela Poonawala. It is the early days in my career in Alfa Laval. That has formed a very strong, behavior in me. She is extremely people-centric. But she is demanding too in her work. Possibly that is also how I have approached my working with colleagues. You need to be professional, you need to deliver what is expected of you. But as my colleagues told me, I have a warm heart. It's not sympathy, it is empathy combined with really demanding professionalism in work. And sometimes it takes time for people to understand me, but then once they understand the real me, then it's okay. Then I have remained friends with all of them, even if they have left the organization or I have left them. You get wiser when you grow old. So it is difficult to say what you thought at that stage. I don't think I had any plans at that stage. Whatever I was doing, I had the passion for doing it. If at all I have got to give a piece of advice to the millennials of today, is that have passion in whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter what you are doing, but have passion. And it is possible, I wouldn't say easy, but it is relatively easy to climb to the top. But it is difficult to stay there. Imagine climbing Mount Everest. It is difficult to climb, but then climbing is one part of it, but staying there long enough is another big part of it. I think develop the sustaining power. Have perseverance. You will go through. I have always used the peak scaling as an example when I spoke to some of the younger generation about my journey. It is not that you keep climbing. You reach a base camp, you possibly settle down, or you may have to come down and change your course. And you need mentors, friends who will give you a helping hand to pull you up. And you need a lot of skills. When you move from one base camp to another, you will possibly need a set of new skills and tools. And in this journey, realize what you are capable of. Assess yourself rather than allowing somebody else to assess you. And take the path which is most suitable for you.